This video I want to discuss XSDs, which are an XML file that contains a hierarchical structure of elements that describe the valid structure of our XML documents. Wow, is that confusing or what? But every XML element that we have, every type of XML structure that we have within the IBIS application has an associated XSD file. And you can validate your XML files against an XSD file. There's lots of tools to do that. It's beyond the scope of this little video. I just want to show you that we do have XSDs, what they look like, and more importantly, for some of your more complex XML files that you have, I want to talk about where you can look at these XSD files to find out exactly what should be in that file, so that when you create and author your XML files, that you're creating content and structure that is going to be recognized by the application. And then I'll show you the system documentation at the very end. So let's take a real easy example. Let's go look at the charts XSD right here. So I'm going to open this up in an editor. And you'll notice here, it should be pretty easy to see the structure of it. It has a container element that's called charts. This is the root element. And it has a chart element, name, title, description, sort order, active flag. And you'll see here it says it's a type of string, so it can be any value. It says min occurs 1. Min occurs means that this it's a required field. So this also, because it's a complex type, and there's rules on how these attributes of each one of these XSD elements, what they mean and how they work. But basically, you can only have one of these entries in here. Now the chart element, you can see here, it says it has to have one of them at least, and it can have as many as you want to put in here. So this is a really simple example. There's modified date, and there's an attribute that you can actually put on this chart element called name. So a really simple structure. And if we go look at the XML file that goes along with that, you'll see here it has a charts container element, and it references this charts XSD. And if you took this file and went out with any online validator, if you have an XML tool and do validation, it'll actually validate this file. So you'll see the structures: chart, name, title, sort order, active flag, modified date, so on. So that's a real quick example of a simple XSD. Now let's go look at one that probably most people would be interested in. That's the query module one. So if I come down here to my query module XSD and I open this file is quite long. It has 615 lines in it. You can actually, in XSDs, you can actually define chunks of XSD and reference them. That's what this file does. Otherwise, this file would be huge. So this is a little bit more modular. And you'll see here we have a query module name, title. So if you have a question on the structure and you need to get an absolute answer on what structure is accepted, the XSD is the place to come. So in the query module world, it's a lot easier to use the system documentation site. So if you go up to the IBIS PHView system, XML elements, query module elements, not the selection elements, but the query module elements, it brings up this page right here. Now this page is not 100% with the XSD, but it's really close. And this will give you a really nice way to navigate to the element description, so that you can kind of figure out what that element is being used for. So it starts out here, and this map, this little graphical representation, you can see the dashed lines around this box. That means it's optional. The solid ones are required, and you can actually click on these. So if I wanted to look at, let's say I wanted to look at how parameters work within the query module. So this is the first level structure, first layer of elements within the container root element of query module. So I click on this parameters, and it jumps me down here to where the parameters are defined. And I can jump to, here's the definition, and it says it's a container element for all, and you can read this. And if I click here on parameter, you'll see it's going to jump me right to this next one below it, but it goes right below it. If I want to read what a parameter has in it, it has a required name, it has a required value, and it has this optional hidden input flag. Let's say I want to look at what hidden input does, so I click on hidden input. It jumps me down to this description of what hidden input is. So this is a really slick way of looking up what the elements are for the query module. The query module is by far the most complex XML structure that we have in IBIS. Most of our other XML structures are generated by Java code, and the user really doesn't maintain those. The exception to that is our HTML content pages, and those are really straightforward because all they do is contain HTML content. So hope this video is helpful. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. Thanks.